The hum of the starship filled the small room, a steady, almost comforting vibration that reminded Jacob he was far from Earth. The walls, lined with sleek metal panels, reflected the soft lights above, giving everything a silver-blue glow. He had just returned from the observation deck, carrying samples of rare minerals collected from the last planet they surveyed, when he heard a quiet, almost hesitant click at his door. Jacob froze. Visitors were rare, especially unannounced ones. "Who's there?" he called, trying to keep his voice steady. The door slid open slowly, revealing a figure bathed in the soft light of the hallway. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin had a subtle shimmer, almost like liquid metal under the lights, and her eyes glowed faintly with a soft green hue. She looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and confidence, as if she had already decided she belonged there. I hope I'm not intruding," she said, her voice calm but carrying a musical quality that made it impossible to ignore. Jacob hesitated. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" "My name is Lyra," she said simply. "I am a traveler, and I am staying." Jacob's mouth went dry. He had expected many things in his life as a young xenologist on a deep space mission. But this, an alien walking into his room and declaring she was staying, was not on any list. "You can't just stay here?" he said, stepping in front of his workbench instinctively. "This is my room. You need to leave." Lyra tilted her head, studying him. She moved forward with a grace that was almost hypnotic yet careful, never crossing the boundary of his personal space. "I do not wish to cause trouble," she said. "I need a place to rest, and this seemed suitable." Jacob's mind raced. The protocols were clear. Any unidentified alien entering human quarters had to be reported immediately. But something about Lyra made him pause. There was no aggression in her posture, no threat in her words. It was almost as if she trusted him completely, without question. I can't just let you stay," he said again, though his tone was less certain this time. "I'll have to alert the captain." Lyra's eyes flickered, a motion too quick to see properly. "If you alert anyone, I will go. But I wish to stay." "I do not seek conflict," Jacob sighed. He ran a hand through his hair, feeling the weight of the decision pressing on him. Every logical part of him screamed to follow protocol. But another part, a smaller, quieter part, wondered what it would be like to interact with a being so different from anything he had ever known. "All right," he said finally, stepping aside. "You can stay. But just for tonight, and you have to follow the ship rules." Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. "Agreed." For a few moments they simply looked at each other, the silence of the room stretching in a way that was neither awkward nor uncomfortable. Jacob felt a strange sense of calm settle over him, as if the very presence of this alien being made the small room feel larger, more open. "I hope I'm not imposing," Lyra said after a while, glancing around the room. "Your quarters are simple yet functional. I find it comfortable." Jacob blinked. "Thank you, I guess. I keep it simple. You know, minerals, samples, books." He gestured toward the small desk cluttered with notes and equipment. Lyra's eyes softened as she studied the items. "You study the stars, yet you keep pieces of worlds here. It is fascinating. You humans have a way of holding on to small things that connect you to greater wonders." Jacob felt a flush of pride. "Yeah, I like knowing I've touched another world even in a small way." She stepped closer to one of the mineral samples, tilting her head. The light from the sample reflected in her eyes, making them glow brighter. "These crystals, they tell stories, don't they?" "Yes," Jacob said, surprised at how easily the words came. "Every mineral has a story. Every planet has a history. That's why I study them." Lyra reached out, careful not to touch, and let her fingers hover over the sample. "I understand. On my world, we preserve knowledge the same way. We hold memories and objects in forms that can be touched and felt. Perhaps that is why I feel at home here." Jacob realized he had stopped questioning her presence. Instead, he found himself listening, intrigued. The way she spoke, the way she moved. It was unlike any human behavior he had observed, yet it carried a logic and rhythm he could understand. The hours passed quickly. They talked about planets, stars, and distant galaxies. Lyra told him about her travels, speaking of worlds where gravity was stronger, and air was thick with colors humans could not see. Jacob shared his knowledge of Earth, of human achievements, and the fragile beauty of life on his home planet. At some point, Jacob noticed the small digital clock on his desk. Hours had passed and he hadn't noticed. I guess time flies, he said, rubbing his eyes. We've been talking for a long time. Lyra nodded. Time is relative, but moments such as these are valuable. I am glad to have met you, Jacob. He swallowed hard, feeling a mixture of pride and unease. I'm glad too. It's not every day a human gets to meet someone like you. For the first time since she arrived, Lyra hesitated. Her gaze drifted toward the door. I will respect your space, she said softly. But may I remain in this room for the night? Just to rest? Jacob looked at her, studying the alien features. Soft, glowing eyes, delicate frame, and that calm, steady aura. Something in him shifted. The fear of breaking protocol was still there, but it was overpowered by curiosity and an odd sense of responsibility. All right, he said finally. You can stay, but we need to figure out a more official arrangement tomorrow. Lyra's smile deepened. Thank you, Jacob. You will not regret this. I will not interfere with your life, but I hope we can learn from each other. As she settled into the small resting area of his quarters, a sectioned-off part of the room with a folding cot, Jacob realized how strange the situation had become. He had expected chaos, fear, maybe even conflict. Instead, he felt calm, interested, curious. The night passed with quiet exchanges and shared observations about the stars outside the window. Jacob watched her as she rested, marveling at the peacefulness of her presence. She was unlike anything he had known. Yet her presence was not threatening. It was inspiring. When he finally drifted into sleep, he dreamed of distant planets, shimmering cities, and a figure with glowing green eyes walking beside him across the stars. By morning, Jacob knew his life had changed. This unexpected visitor, this alien traveler, was not just passing through. She had made a choice, and somehow, without words, Jacob had made a choice too. He would protect her presence, learn from her, and maybe, just maybe, prove to the universe why humanity was capable of friendship, understanding, and courage in the face of the unknown. And thus began an extraordinary partnership, one that would take them to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, challenge their understanding of life itself, and test the very limits of what it meant to be human. The next morning, Jacob woke to the soft hum of the starship and the faint light of distant stars filtering through the window. Lyra was already awake, sitting near the small observation window of his quarters, her glowing green eyes fixed on the blackness of space. Good morning, Jacob said, trying to sound cheerful, though he was still adjusting to the reality of having an alien companion in his room. Lyra turned to him, her face calm and serene. Good morning, Jacob. I hope your rest was sufficient. It was unusual, Jacob admitted with a small smile. Not bad, just unusual, Lyra tilted her head. That is how learning feels. At first it is strange. Then it becomes natural. Jacob nodded, still unsure if that comforted him or made him more anxious. I guess I'll get used to it eventually. They spent the morning talking again, this time about navigation and stellar phenomena. Lyra showed an understanding of the stars that surprised him. She explained how her species used subtle gravitational shifts to determine safe paths between planets. Jacob, in turn, explained human methods, using sensors and calculations to map safe routes. Your methods are clever, Lyra said, tracing patterns in the air with a finger, but they rely heavily on instruments. My people use instincts combined with calculation. There is a harmony between observation and intuition. Jacob leaned back, fascinated. I never thought of it that way. I always assumed instruments were the best way. Humans have achieved much, Lyra said softly, but there is always something to learn from others, and you are open to learning. For a while, they worked together on a small experiment. Jacob had collected rare crystals from the last planet, and Lyra suggested analyzing their resonance frequencies in a different way. Working side by side, Jacob realized that her presence brought a kind of focus he had never experienced alone. Every measurement, every observation felt more meaningful. By midday, the ship's alarm system beeped suddenly, a sharp, urgent sound that made both of them jump. The holographic display in the center of the room lit up, showing a red alert. Unidentified vessel approaching, Jacob said, quickly scanning the data. Sensors are picking up a ship moving fast, too close to our trajectory. Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. They are too precise. They know we are here, Jacob swallowed hard. Could be pirates, could be something worse. We must prepare, Lyra said calmly. I can help, Jacob hesitated. He had never expected to fight with an alien at his side, but her calm confidence was reassuring. All right, but follow my lead. We'll need strategy. The alien vessel appeared on the main screen, a dark, angular ship that seemed almost alive in its movements. Jacob felt a shiver of fear. These ships were known for raiding weak or unprotected vessels. If they got too close, the cargo, the crew, and even the mission could be in danger. Lyra moved closer, her glowing eyes scanning the holographic map. They will attempt a direct boarding, but their sensors will not detect my signature as easily. I can move undetected to gather information. Jacob's jaw tightened. Be careful. We don't know what we're dealing with. The minutes passed slowly. The alien ship edged closer, its movements precise, almost surgical. Jacob prepared the defensive systems while Lyra analyzed the vessel's approach, predicting their next moves. Suddenly, a small scout drone separated from the alien ship and zipped toward Jacob's starship at incredible speed. Jacob swore under his breath. They've sent a probe. We need to disable it before it alerts the main ship. Lyra's hand hovered over the control panel, moving with precision. I can interfere with its sensors. It will appear as empty space to them. Jacob followed her instructions, working quickly with the ship's systems. They synchronized their actions, human calculation and alien intuition combining into a single purpose. The drone slowed, hovered briefly, and then spun away, confused and useless. Jacob let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. That worked. I can't believe that worked. Lyra nodded, her expression calm but satisfied. Trust and coordination can accomplish much. You have potential, Jacob. The main vessel loomed closer, but Lyra's insight gave them a critical advantage. Jacob adjusted the ship's trajectory based on her suggestions, avoiding detection while preparing a defensive perimeter. The alien ship scanned them repeatedly, but each time it failed to locate the human ship. Hours seemed to pass in minutes. The tension was high, but the unusual partnership between human and alien kept them focused and efficient. Jacob noticed that despite the danger, Lyra remained composed, almost serene. You are not afraid? He asked quietly during a brief lull. Lyra glanced at him. Fear can be useful, but panic is destructive. I choose to remain calm. You should do the same. Jacob nodded, trying to mirror her calm. Her presence was more than comforting, it was empowering. He realized that having someone like Lyra beside him, someone with intelligence, intuition, and calm logic, made him stronger. The alien vessel finally retreated slightly, realizing that boarding was not possible. At least not without a direct confrontation. They were unlikely to win. Jacob allowed himself a small smile. We did it. We made them leave. Lyra's glowing eyes softened. Yes. Together we are stronger than you might expect. Jacob looked at her, feeling a sense of respect and admiration that went beyond anything he had anticipated. You're amazing. I've never met anyone like you. And I have never met a human who faces danger with such determination, Lyra replied. Your species has courage and ingenuity. You have much to teach and much to share. After the alert cleared, Jacob and Lyra took a moment to sit quietly. The room was filled with the soft hum of the starship again, and the stars outside seemed brighter, sharper, more alive. I didn't expect today to be like this, Jacob admitted. An alien visitor, a surprise attack. It's too much for one morning. Lyra smiled faintly. The universe is full of surprises, and those who can adapt will thrive. You adapted well, Jacob. You have potential beyond your own understanding. Jacob shook his head, both amazed and humbled. I guess I have a good teacher. You learn from all experiences, Lyra said simply. And today you learned the value of cooperation and trust. That is important in the galaxy. They spent the remainder of the day reviewing the data from the encounter. Lyra's insights were invaluable, showing Jacob angles and possibilities he had never considered. He realized that human knowledge, while advanced, could be greatly enhanced by combining it with the experiences of beings from other worlds. As evening approached, Jacob prepared a small meal in his quarters. Lyra observed quietly, her eyes flicking from one object to another. Food is a strange ritual for humans, she remarked. On my world, we consume energy differently. Yet there is a value in this process. It is communal and reflective. Jacob laughed lightly. Yeah, I guess it is. You get used to it. You want to try? Lyra nodded. I will observe and participate as appropriate. As they shared the meal, they continued discussing the stars, their past adventures, and their hopes for the mission ahead. Jacob felt a growing bond with Lyra, a connection that went beyond curiosity. It was respect, trust, and the thrill of shared knowledge. Before they finally rested for the night, Jacob realized something important. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, mysteries, and opportunities, and in Lyra he had found not just an ally but a friend capable of helping him navigate it all. And so, as the starship glided silently through the cosmos, human and alien sat together in quiet camaraderie, ready to face whatever challenges the universe would send next. Because in the vastness of space, sometimes the greatest strength came from unexpected partnerships, one human and one alien, learning, trusting, and preparing to leave their mark on the galaxy. The days following the encounter with the alien ship passed in a mixture of routine and preparation. Jacob and Lyra had settled into a rhythm, exploring the starship together, studying the stars, and sharing knowledge about their worlds. Yet both sensed that the calm was only temporary. The galaxy had a way of reminding travelers that danger often came unannounced. It was early morning when the ship's sensors picked up an unusual signal. Jacob was at the observation deck, examining a cluster of distant stars, when Lyra joined him, her eyes glowing faintly with interest. "Jacob," she said softly, "there is a signal nearby. It is unlike any natural formation. It carries a pattern, a call, almost like it seeks attention." Jacob leaned closer to the display, analyzing the readings. "You're right. It's structured, deliberate. Could be another civilization, or maybe a trap." Lyra studied the map carefully. "We cannot know without investigation, but I sense no immediate danger. The pattern is cautious, not aggressive." Jacob nodded, trusting her instincts. "All right, let's approach slowly. We'll take sensors and scan the signal before making any decision." As the ship moved closer, the signal resolved into a small artificial satellite orbiting a bright blue and white planet. Its design was intricate, unlike any human-made technology Jacob had seen. Strange symbols adorned its surface and soft lights pulsed rhythmically along its edges. Lyra's gaze lingered on the structure. "This is ancient, far older than any human civilization. It carries intelligence, though it has not been active for centuries. Perhaps it is a message, a warning, or a map." Jacob's curiosity flared. "A map? To where?" "That is the question," Lyra replied. "But first, we must explore it carefully. The galaxy holds many wonders and dangers. This structure could teach us much, or it could be a trap left by civilizations long gone." The ship's docking mechanisms engaged, and Jacob guided them closer. As they attached to the satellite's docking port, a soft vibration ran through the ship. The structure seemed to welcome them, almost sensing their intent. Jacob opened the airlock cautiously. "Ready?" Lyra nodded. "Always." Inside, the satellite was dark and silent, but the walls were lined with luminous panels that responded to their presence. The symbols on the walls pulsed faintly, illuminating passages in soft blues and greens. "This is incredible," Jacob whispered. "It's like a library, but not of books." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter as she walked ahead, touching the walls. "Information can take many forms. On my world, knowledge is stored in light and vibration. This is similar. We can learn if we pay attention." Jacob followed her, careful not to disturb anything. As they progressed, the walls projected holographic images of star systems, each connected by lines that pulsed with energy. They depicted paths between planets, perhaps routes once used by an ancient civilization. "Look at this," Lyra said, pointing to a particularly bright set of lines. "These stars are connected in a pattern that leads outward, beyond known space. This could be a guide, a map to unexplored worlds." Jacob felt a thrill run through him. "This is what I've been waiting for, a chance to explore where no human has gone." Lyra glanced at him, her expression thoughtful. "You have courage and curiosity, Jacob, but exploration is not without risk. These paths may lead to wonders or to conflict." Jacob nodded. "I understand, but it's worth it. We can learn from it, and together we're stronger. They followed the glowing paths deeper into the satellite, encountering more holographic records. Scenes of ancient cities, strange technologies, and alien landscapes flickered before them. Jacob marveled at the diversity, at the complexity of life that had once thrived in places humans had never imagined. This civilization was advanced, Jacob said softly. Their technology, it's beyond anything we've seen. Why did it disappear? Lyra's eyes dimmed slightly as she considered. Civilizations rise and fall. Some destroy themselves, some are forgotten. But knowledge remains if it is preserved. That is why this satellite exists. Jacob reached out, tracing a glowing symbol. The holographic display shifted, showing a distant planet with rings of pale gold, orbiting a star that burned with soft red light. Coordinates were embedded in the light, a map leading directly to the planet. Do you think we should go there? Jacob asked. Lyra studied the display. It is not safe to decide hastily, but yes, this location is important. Something is preserved there, or awaits discovery. We must proceed carefully. Back on the ship, Jacob prepared for the journey. Lyra assisted, offering guidance in navigation, strategy, and alien systems he could barely understand. Together, they charted a course through uncharted space, following the path revealed by the satellite. The journey was long, but the partnership between human and alien grew stronger. Jacob learned to anticipate Lyra's insights, while she learned to respect human methods and adaptability. Together, they balanced intuition and logic, courage and caution. After days of travel, the distant planet appeared on their sensors. Its surface was covered in sparkling ice fields, deep canyons, and towering crystal formations. The planet's atmosphere shimmered with colors that changed as the sun rose across the horizon. It is breathtaking, Jacob whispered. I've never seen anything like it. Lyra's eyes glowed softly. And yet, there is more than beauty here. Something ancient is preserved on this world. We must be careful. They descended, the ship gliding smoothly over icy plains. Jacob guided them toward a vast crystal formation in the center of a canyon. Embedded within the largest crystal was a small, metallic object, almost like a key. This could unlock something, Lyra said, her voice calm but excited. Or it could be a test left by those who came before. Jacob reached for the object, and as his fingers touched it, the crystal pulsed with light, illuminating the canyon in radiant hues. A holographic projection appeared, showing a figure of an alien scientist holding a small device. Symbols scrolled across the projection, translating into words Jacob could understand. Knowledge is not only for survival, it is for understanding, for growth. Those who find this place are worthy of the path ahead. Use what you learn wisely. Share it with those who are ready. Jacob looked at Lyra, awe in his eyes. We're being guided. This civilization left this for others to find. Lyra nodded. And they trusted that some would be prepared. Humans, Jacob. You may be one of those chosen. Not because you are perfect, but because you are willing to learn, to cooperate, and to act with courage. Jacob felt a swell of pride and responsibility. We'll honor it, I promise. The projection faded, leaving the crystal and the metallic object. Jacob carefully secured the device, knowing it would be the key to further discoveries. As they returned to the ship, Lyra's glowing eyes met his. This is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast and its secrets are many. But together we can uncover them, understand them, and protect them. Jacob smiled. Then let's do it. Whatever comes next, we face it together. And as the starship lifted off the icy world, leaving behind glittering crystals and ancient secrets, Jacob realized something profound. Humanity's strength was not only in technology or courage, but in curiosity, determination, and the ability to work with those who were different. Lyra's presence was a reminder of that truth. Together, human and alien would explore the unknown, unlocking the galaxy's mysteries while showing that understanding and cooperation could overcome even the greatest challenges. The icy planet stretched endlessly below the starship as Jacob and Lyra prepared to explore the next phase of their journey. The device they had retrieved from the ancient crystal formation pulsed faintly, as if aware of the energy around it. Its surface shimmered with alien symbols, and every time Jacob touched it, he felt a small vibration running through his hand. "This device, it's more than just a key," Lyra said, her glowing eyes studying it carefully. "It carries energy, knowledge, and perhaps guidance. Whoever created it intended it to be found, and they trusted us to use it wisely." Jacob nodded, a sense of responsibility settling heavily on him. "Then we have to make sure we understand it fully. Every step we take could unlock something incredible, or dangerous." They landed the ship near a canyon filled with glittering crystals. The device reacted immediately to the crystal formations, emitting a soft light that revealed a hidden passage beneath the ice. Jacob checked the sensors. "The passage is stable but narrow. We'll need to move carefully." Lyra smiled faintly. "Then we will proceed carefully, together." As they descended into the tunnel, the walls pulsed with light in response to the device. It was as though the planet itself was communicating with them, guiding their path. Strange symbols appeared on the walls, shifting and changing, forming a map that led deeper underground. "This place, it's alive," Jacob whispered, awed by the sight. "Not in the way humans understand life, but it reacts, adapts, communicates." Lyra nodded. "Many civilizations find ways to preserve themselves even after they are gone. This planet is a record of their knowledge. It will teach us, if we are ready to learn." Deeper inside the canyon, they reached a vast chamber. Crystals of every size reflected the light of their equipment, creating a kaleidoscope of colors. In the center was a pedestal, shaped like a star, and on it floated a sphere of pure energy. It radiated warmth, light, and an unmistakable sense of intelligence. "This must be what the device was leading us to," Jacob said. "But what is it?" Lyra stepped closer, her eyes glowing brightly. "It is a core of knowledge. It contains the history, science, and achievements of the civilization that created it. It is their legacy, preserved in a form that transcends time and space." Jacob approached the sphere cautiously. As he did, the device in his hand began to pulse in harmony with the energy of the core. Symbols appeared in the air around them, forming a holographic interface. Jacob instinctively touched one of the symbols, and a vision unfolded before him. Scenes of an ancient world appeared. Cities made of crystal and metal. Beings of various shapes and sizes. Technologies that manipulated gravity and energy, and a civilization thriving in harmony with the stars. Jacob watched, mesmerized as the history of an entire species played out in moments before him. They were incredible," Jacob whispered. "Why did they vanish?" Lyra's voice was calm but thoughtful. "Civilizations rise and fall. This one chose to preserve knowledge rather than risk conflict. They trusted that one day others would come who were ready to understand and protect it. That is why the core exists." Jacob felt a surge of pride and determination. "Then we have to protect it. We have to learn from it and bring that knowledge back to humanity. Imagine what we could do, how much we could advance, how much we could explore." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but remember, knowledge is a responsibility. It must be shared wisely. You, Jacob, have shown courage, curiosity, and wisdom. Humanity has the potential to use this knowledge for good, if guided by understanding and respect." Jacob smiled. "Then we'll do it together. You and me, exploring the galaxy, learning, protecting what's important." They spent hours exploring the chamber, using the device to access different parts of the core. Each section revealed more about the civilization, their art, their science, their philosophy, and their understanding of life and the cosmos. Jacob realized that this was not just a discovery, it was a chance for humanity to grow, to reach beyond its current limits. Suddenly, the sensors on the ship detected movement outside the chamber. A new vessel had arrived in orbit around the planet. Its design was unfamiliar, angular, and imposing. Jacob's heart raced. Another ship. It's approaching fast. Could be hostile. Lyra's eyes glowed intensely. We cannot hide forever. But the knowledge here is protected. If they come with ill intent, we will face them, and we are stronger together. Jacob took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility. Then let's be ready. We've come this far, we can't back down now. As they emerged from the tunnel and approached the ship, the vessel scanned the surface. Jacob activated the ship's defenses, but Lyra had another plan. I will use my abilities to shield us from their sensors. You focus on maneuvering and preparing for any attack. Jacob nodded, trusting her completely. Together, they coordinated their actions, human skill and alien intuition working as one. The approaching vessel attempted to lock onto their position, but Lyra's energy shield disrupted their systems, making them invisible on sensors. Jacob guided the ship away from the canyon, using natural terrain to hide their position. We're clear. For now, he said, relief flooding him. Lyra's eyes softened. Yes, but they will return. We must be vigilant and we must continue to protect the knowledge here. Jacob realized that their mission had changed. It was no longer just about exploration. It was about responsibility. Humanity had the chance to learn, to grow, and to reach for the stars. But with knowledge came danger, and with danger came the need for courage, cooperation, and trust. Over the following days, they worked tirelessly, mapping the planet, securing the core, and preparing to return to their ship. Jacob marveled at Lyra's insight, her calmness, and her ability to see patterns and possibilities he would have missed. He felt proud to be human, proud that humans could rise to challenges with ingenuity and determination. Finally, the preparations were complete. The starship lifted off from the icy planet, the core's energy pulsing faintly in the device they carried. Jacob looked at Lyra, a sense of accomplishment and anticipation in his chest. We did it, he said. We've uncovered something incredible, and we've survived the dangers. But more importantly, we've proven that humans can rise to challenges that seem impossible. Lyra's glowing eyes met his. Yes, you have shown that courage, curiosity, and intelligence can overcome fear and uncertainty. Humanity is capable of great things, Jacob. And this is only the beginning. As they set course for home, the galaxy stretched before them, a vast expanse of stars, planets, and mysteries waiting to be explored. Jacob realized that the universe was no longer a distant dream. It was within reach. And with allies like Lyra, humanity could face anything, learn anything, and rise to its fullest potential. Jacob smiled, filled with determination. Then let's continue. There are more worlds, more discoveries, and more challenges waiting. Together we can show the galaxy what humans are capable of. Lyra nodded, her energy pulsing gently in response. And together we will succeed. The galaxy will remember those who rise, who explore, and who protect knowledge for the benefit of all. That is the strength of humanity. As the starship glided through space, Jacob felt a deep sense of purpose. He had faced the unknown, worked alongside an alien being of incredible intelligence, and discovered truths that could change humanity forever. He realized in that moment that humanity's greatest strength was not just technology or courage. It was curiosity, determination, and the willingness to work with others, even those from far beyond their own world. And so, human and alien traveled together through the stars, exploring new worlds, uncovering ancient knowledge and proving that humanity could rise to challenges greater than they had ever imagined. The universe was vast, dangerous, and full of wonders. But Jacob knew one thing for certain. As long as humans continued to learn, adapt, and trust themselves and their allies, there was no limit to what they could achieve. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a canvas for their courage and curiosity. And for the first time, Jacob felt the true potential of humanity, strong, fearless, and ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store.